Testimony Thursday with Ernisa B.
Testimony
It's
Thursday with
Testimony
Ernisa
Thursday with Ernisa B.
Subscribe to school in Indiana.
I did. I took a few classes here and there, but my heart's desire was to teach people about God. And so I started to work. I had the great opportunity of working with Dr. Lester Summerall in his ministry, and I was a public relations director at one of his TV stations, and that really got me interested in knowing more about God. Then I ended up going to Bible college and at World Harvest Bible College, and just last year, excuse me, I was talking to some people, and I said, you know what, I'd love to go ahead and get my doctorate's degree. I said, I have my son-in-law who's a doctor, and then my granddaughter got her master's degree, and it was like, you little smarties, your grandma's just as smart as you are. I'm gonna get my doctorate's degree. So I went back to school and talked to them about it, and they said, well, it would take you possibly 2 more years to get, finish out your doctorate. I told them I had this class, and that. And I thought, well, that's not too bad. I'm gonna do it. And then on my way home, I was driving and I was saying, what am I thinking? With all that I do in charge of this great big outreach, and we help to feed hundreds and hundreds of families, I don't have the time for this. So, it's just funny how life takes you in different areas. And I had a friend from north of Tampa, and he and his wife invited us out to dinner, and they had a lady with them, and she was saying, now, I know what you do because they tell me, but can you tell me in your words what you do? And I said, well, let's just put it this way. I am so busy that, I really wanted to get my doctorate's degree just for me, not because I needed to have it. I said, but I realized I was way too busy to do it. So it's more important to me to be able to make sure that there's no child who goes to bed hungry. Just like I said, my mother was an orphan child, and they were very, very poor. And I know what it's like. I've heard the stories of grandmothers raising their babies and their grandbabies, and they just don't have the food that they need. And that makes my heart hurt, because we live in a city that has so much money that could alleviate that pain. But who did they need to do something like that? I thank God that there's many organizations that reach out and they help to make sure that there's food on the table for little children. But I'm gonna answer your question in a roundabout way. That with that, I also found out that if children do not have the right nutrition and they eat SpaghettiOs and Cheerios, guess what happens? Their brains do not develop the way a child does that has the right nutrition. Then let me kind of ask the question, I'm going to answer it. Is that why we have so much obesity? Is that why we have heart trouble, high blood pressure, sugar diabetes, people having strokes at young ages? It made my heart hurt. And I said, with that, we can do something about it. So that drives me to make sure that the children in my reach do not go to bed hungry. So my husband and I took and put a second mortgage on our home, and we bought a former Chinese restaurant. It was actually an operating restaurant when we bought it. And we put everything that we had to be able to get this restaurant and to get started. And we started busing children in from different areas in the city to be able to feed them. Many times I've had children to run across the front of that church and say, it's a restaurant, but we use it as a little church. Do you have anything I can eat? I go, yes, baby, if we got anything in that refrigerator. So we got with P-Tech College, and we started having the chefs to come in and cook meals, and we started busing the children in. And it made my heart feel so good to know that we can make a difference in a child's life. So that is what I told her that drove me. I didn't have a clue that who her husband was. It wasn't important. I was just telling her the story. And about 15 days later, the gentleman and his wife that invited us out to lunch that day said, I need to meet you. Could I meet you for about 15 minutes at a restaurant in St. Petersburg? Now, he lives up by Lutz, so he wanted to come meet me. And I go, of course. And I told my husband, I don't know why he called and wanted to meet me. It must be something wrong with his wife. Do you want to go with me? My husband said, no, you just go ahead and go. And I went, and to my shocking surprise, he said, do you know the lady that was with us the other day? Excuse me. And I said, yes, I know who you're talking about. Well, her husband is the president to a Christian college. They have 15 different universities throughout the world. And they want to meet with you because they are going to award you an honorary doctorate's degree. So I actually had an honorary doctorate's degree from a college that said, look, you've been studying the Word of God for 20-some years. You don't need to go 2 more years to anything. So I'm not saying that prestigiously. I'm saying that God will give us the desires of our heart. He will open doors for us that we can't open. The one thing that I found that is so important is to put God and His people first. And when you do that, then you don't need to worry about the other things. When we gave everything to buy what we had, it was no time at all until we were 100% debt-free. So my education background is through the knocks of hard knocks.
Oh, excellent. So you would actually have experiential knowledge.
I guess that's what you would call it.
And the exponential abundance of one prayer answered, right? So there's 11 of you.
I feel like it sometimes.
So we're going to bring in one of the fruits of your womb.
Thank you.
And we're going to ask you both a few questions about your journey and your testimony.
Thank you.